Hello, here's the second photo coaching video, and this is where I take one photo and we analyse some of the important aspects. Today we're going to be looking at a shot from Daryl Selby and Rami Ashur, and I'm specifically going to be looking at weight. So if that's of interest, stay tuned. Okay, so welcome to the second photo coaching video. In this photo we've got a picture of Daryl Selby and Rami Ashur. Now it's blurred out, and what's going to happen is I'm going to unblur certain sections and talk about those sections as we go along, and then finish by unblurring the whole photograph and finally pointing out anything that's relevant in the whole image. So the first thing I want to look at is I want to look at Daryl's head. Now look, his head is up. His eyes are looking towards the ball, but his head is up. It's perfectly positioned. It's not giving away any information to the opponent, but it's also allowing him to be very balanced. The next thing that I want to look at is I want to look at both his arms. So now you can see both his arms, and what you'll see is that they're more or less like symmetrical. They're balancing him. His left arm is out there to balance any movement of the body, but also just the general idea of balance. If you have one hand too far forward, you're going to be automatically leaning forward, and that's not really going to be a good thing. And we talked about this a lot, or I have lots of times, especially on the backhand, but here it's the forehand, but it's still out there, it's still balanced. And believe it or not, those fingers like moving around like this, they can really make a difference as well. The next thing I want to look at is his wrist and racket head, and you'll notice that it's almost parallel with the floor. It's not drooping down. He could, if he were lazy, which he's not, is he could just not reach as far, but just put his racket head and his arm in a straight line. But that's not so good. That limits your options. Having your racket head straight down means that you've either got to play a counter drop or a flick lob. Whereas in this position, he could, depending on how the ball is moving, he can go cross court, he can go trickle boast, he can go down the wall, he can counter drop, he can drive. Now, of course, one of the problems with these types of images is we don't really know how he got here. And what we'll see in a moment is he's not actually that far off the tee. He's only one big step away from the tee. So it's impossible to know what happened. I mean, I certainly haven't seen the match. But this looks like that Rami has gone for a straight drive and he's tried to hit it low. Now I'm guessing it's a straight drive because he's come from the side that that ball is on. You can see him moving. We'll see that in a moment. So let's summarise what we've got so far. We've got his arms out, giving him balance. He's got his hand holding the racket head up so that that gives him the most amount of choices. The next thing we're going to look at is his legs and feet. And what you'll see immediately is that they almost mirror his arms. Okay, they're reversed, but in the sense that you've got one forward and one backwards. And I know that that sounds kind of obvious, but one thing to notice is he's very well balanced. And look at his heel. His heel is the first thing that hits the ground, and that's really important because that's going to absorb some of the impact, and it's going to mean he's less likely to injure himself, but it also means he's going to transfer his weight forward. And that brings me to the last one. So I'm going to unblur the whole image now. Now what's really important about this image, and one of the reasons that I chose it, is that he is just about to transfer his weight into the ball. And that's really important. Transferring your weight allows you to put more power behind the shot if that's what you're looking to do, but certainly more control. He's not getting there too early and losing his momentum. He's getting there at the right time. As Gandalf said, a wizard never arrives early nor late. A squash player never arrives early nor late, but at exactly the right time. Now, if we look at Rami, Rami is almost convinced, I think he is, that the ball is coming across the court. Now, I have no idea where the ball's going. I don't know, the kind of swing that he's used just before he's about to hit the ball. All I know is that it looks to me as though he's about to play maybe a counter drop or maybe a shot down the wall. But he might be just about to flick his wrist and hit the ball cross court. And if anybody knows where the ball's going, it's Rami. I certainly wouldn't try and second guess Rami. But notice that he seems to be moving back to the tee. So he's obviously not convinced that it's going back down the wall, and he's obviously thinking I need to be more in the middle to cover all of those shots. So to summarise, I chose this picture because of weight transference. I felt that it was a great image for how to move to the ball and make contact just as you are making contact with the ball. Sorry. I also chose it because it shows how well that you need to keep your racket head up. Don't just put it forward and reach for the ball. Get in a bit closer and give yourself options by keeping your racket parallel to the ground. So I want to thank Daryl for giving me permission to use this image. I hope you enjoy these types of videos. They're very short. This is only the second one, and I hope to do lots more of them and move on to some videos as well. But I often find that a great photograph can encapsulate so many interesting ideas all at the same time. One thing that perhaps I didn't mention is that Daryl is actually watching the ball make contact with his strings. His head, although it looks maybe a little bit up, it's not, because he's not giving anything away to Rami. Rami's going to have to work hard to decide where the ball's going. So that's it. Thank you for watching, and remember, do something every single day to improve your squash. Thanks for watching. See ya.